Hey and welcome! Today, we're going to jump right into one of the trickiest parts of learning any new language, the verbs. But forget staring at some long, boring list. Instead, we're going to learn the real building blocks of Hungarian by living through a day. You know, from the moment you wake up to when you go to sleep. So, you ready to start your day? In Hungarian? Let's do this!
So where do you even start? I mean, how do you talk about your life, what you do, what you need, what you're thinking, when you're just starting out? It can honestly feel like this giant, impossible mountain to climb. But what if I told you the answer is way, way simpler than you think?
It all starts right here. With just about 100 core verbs, you pretty much get the keys to describe almost everything you do. This isn't about memorizing the whole dictionary, not at all. It's about getting the essential tools you need to actually communicate. And suddenly, that massive mountain, it's starting to look a lot more like a hill we can climb together.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about this idea of the first 100 verbs. Then, we're going to live through a whole day, a Hungarian morning, a busy day at work, and then an evening for relaxing. We'll even dive into the verbs for our thoughts and feelings before we wrap it all up with your next step. Sound good? Let's get started.
You know, verbs are basically the engines of a language. They're the action words, the doing words that make sentences come alive. Seriously, without them, you just have a list of nouns, a list of things. But with verbs, now you've got stories, you can make requests, you can share ideas.
And that is exactly how we're going to do it. By tying each verb to a moment in a story, our day in the life, we're not just memorizing, we're building context and memories, which makes the language really stick. Oh, and a quick heads up, we're going to be learning the infinitive, or the dictionary form, of these verbs. The next part is conjugation, but hey, that's a whole other explainer. First things first, you need the tools.
All right, our day is officially beginning. The sun's coming up, so let's learn the very first actions we'll take.
So, picture this. You get out of bed. The first thing you might do is nitni. That's nitni, to open the window and let some air in. Then, as you leave your room, you zarni, to close the door. See that? Nitni and zarni. Two opposite actions to get our day rolling.
Okay, time for breakfast. You're in the kitchen, and you could say this very simple sentence. Almat esem reggelire. It just means, I eat an apple for breakfast. A complete, totally practical thought, all powered by one essential verb. And that's the verb right there, enni, pronounced enni, to eat. You're going to use this one every single day, for sure. See how we just went from one single action word, enni, to a full sentence? That's the power we're talking about.
Now this is like a perfect little story. Step 1, you fözni, or maybe készíteni, so you cook or you make something. Then, of course, you enni and inni, you eat and drink. And when you're done, you mosni, to wash the dishes. A whole morning routine in just 4 key verbs.
Breakfast is done, we're fueled up and ready to go. So let's move on to the main part of our day. This is all about being productive, maybe learning something, and just navigating the world outside. Every journey has a beginning and an end, right? So in the morning, you érkezni, to leave the house. And later on, you érkezni, to arrive at your destination. This pair of verbs basically frames every single trip you take.
So once you arrive, here's your toolkit for a busy day. You might dolgozni, to work, or tanulni, to learn. To do that, you'll need to írni, to write, olvasni, to read, beszélni, to speak, and probably használni, to use a computer. This little cluster of verbs is really the core of getting things done.
And this slide, this is a classic daily struggle, right? First, you have to keresni. You're looking for something, your keys, a file, and then, hopefully, you talalni. You find it. A perfect little story in just 2 words. Okay, the workday is over. We can breathe. Now our focus is going to shift from tasks and being productive to people, connection, and just winding down. The whole vibe of our day changes, and so do our verbs. So, how do we actually connect with people? Well, we can hívni a friend, that's to call them. We küldeni, to send a message. And we kapni one back, to receive it. It's this cycle of giving and receiving. And, you know, sometimes the best connection is just to segítni, to help someone. These verbs are what build our social lives. After a long day, it is definitely time to relax. So you could just say, filmet nézek. It means, simply, I am watching a movie. A perfect statement of pure chill time. The key verb here is nézni, to watch. And this is actually pretty cool because it's different from a similar verb, látni, which just means to see, like you see a car pass by.
Nezny means you're focusing, you have intention, you are actively watching.
Of course, relaxing isn't just watching movies. You can yatsani, to play a game or a sport. You can tansolni, or inakelni. Maybe your thing is to utazni, to travel. Or sometimes you just need to pihenni, to rest. These verbs are what give our stories some personality.
So we've covered all the things we do during the day, from morning all the way to night. But so much of our life happens inside our own heads, right? Let's take a look at the verbs that let us express that inner world.
And this right here is where a language gets really, really powerful. With these verbs, you can share who you are. You can gondolni, to think, eresni, to feel, hinni, to believe, and remelni, to hope. You can tudni, a fact. You can szeretni, someone. And at the very end of the day, you can álmodni, to dream. And just like that, our day is complete. We've gone all the way from waking up to dreaming, all using the power of these verbs. You've seen how these little action words can build an entire story. So, what now? Here's the big takeaway. You are now equipped. You actually have the tools to talk about your real life, your routine, your job, your hobbies, and even what you're thinking and feeling. The foundation is officially built. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question. With all these new action words ready to go, ready for you to build sentences and tell your own story, what's going to be the first thing you say?